As the president prepares to attend the African Union meeting in Kenya, let's take a look at the breakdown of the $800 million loan, where 500 billion naira is meant for palliatives. And let's also look at the other expenditures attached to it. To walk us through this development is a policy analyst, Baba Yusuf, who joins us live via phone from Bauchi. Good to have you join us.
Thank you for having me.
So I want to start with the part of this. I understand he's joining us via Zoom and not via phone. I want to start with the monies meant for flooding. Now we see that about 185 billion naira has been allocated to the Ministry of Works and Housing to alleviate the impact of the severe flooding experienced last year. But this is last year, and now we're in July this year. Is this a problem of government's response to emergency, or is this a problem or a challenge rather of our appropriation process?
I think it's a function of both, but importantly, it's a function of a national cultural issue. What do I mean? We are very reactive as a country. We are mostly not proactive. We have been hearing this. All the indicators have been there. Nigerian Meteorological Agency has been giving us heads up with regards to potential floods and other elements, just like other projections. But how we utilize projections is what will determine how we manage our crisis. So we have issue with managing crisis because we have a cultural corporate issue, whether it is in public sector or private sector. Planning and execution issues. I think that's the key issue. That being said, looking forward, we need to look at how this present administration can work best with a plan they have met midway into the year. We recall that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came on board mid-year into the performance of the budget or the strategic plan of 2023, which was set up by the former administration of President Muhammadu Buhari. So I think it's a function of both, but more importantly, it's a cultural issue that we need to move away from to avoid or lessen these critical drawbacks.
And I want to stay on the palliatives for those or alleviating the impact of the severe flooding on those who experienced it last year. And what do you think that the implication of this delay will be on accuracy of disbursing whatever it is to those who were actually affected, bearing in mind that there are people who are now also affected this year?
Yeah, that's the issue with the plan. When you are in project management, we call them slippages. When you have timelines and deliverables to achieve milestones from the beginning to the end of a project, and you are not able to deliver milestone 1, it impacts on milestone 2, and you have these slippages. And it's worse when you have issues like emergency response, crisis management, like I said, with regards to supporting people that are in critical need, people that have been impacted by flooding. Since last year, now we have this year impacts, and we are trying to see how we can manage the situation. I don't know how the current administration is going to deal with it. Of course, I expect there were some handover notes that gave indications of where things, were as of 1 month ago when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu take over. But 1 month is too short to clear out slippages. The transparency of the process is also very critical, moving forward, for stakeholders to know where they are, why they are where they are, and how they are able to adapt and provide the understanding moving forward. So there should be, I expect, the current government some quick rejig to see how they can, fast track this process to collapse the entire, process from the last year and this year. But I think importantly, there's need now to open the vista for everybody to see the challenges, which obviously there would be, and get that understanding from populace while government proactively tries to deal with this critical issue. Why? Because don't forget that we are just in July, and the August and September rains are coming, so the rains are going to be worse. I hope and pray that the people managing our emergency response agencies will have a blueprint to present to Mr. President to curtail these slippages moving forward.
And let me get your thoughts on the 500 billion naira for palliatives, which is from the Supplementary Appropriation Act.
Well, you see me sighing. it's a tough one, to be honest. We have 200 million Nigerians. We have over 133 million Nigerians that have been declared multidimensionally poor already by end of last quarter. We don't know the numbers now because the projections between that time, last quarter of last year to now, we saw the impacts. 1 month ago, the subsidy was removed. The impacts are already adding to the already significant critical negative variables. So the 500 million, if you do a mental calculation, how many of that 1.33 million will really get that succor? You know, I saw numbers bandied about because I didn't have time. I've been, trying to evaluate to see really. Some people say 12 million people, some people say more than that. But however you want to look at it, it's actually a drop in the bucket. The good thing about it is I saw the statement by the special advisor to Mr. President, Mr. Dele Alake, coming to give some other, provisos within the framework of palliatives. I guess this is one of the quick wins, if you like. So suffice it to say, because there are some medium to long-term interventions that will be given over and beyond the 500 billion interventions, gives me some relief that people are going to see beyond these incentives. For example, the fertilizer, the interventions, and the framework around commodity market, deployment of armed forces to support farmers to produce, optimizing the 500,000 hectares, arable land, that Mr. President is trying to ensure that we leverage and optimize for productions. These ones are the add-ons that will make the 500 billion naira, for want of some of what makes sense. But I think there's a lot of work for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu with a view to activating and actualizing this initial framework they have put in place to provide immediate and mid-term interventions. I also hear his directive with regards to quick intervention to rein in the inflationary measures or trends with regards to commodity, especially food. We look forward to the execution because now what will provide the difference is execution by the team of Mr. President.
Mm. And the question, you raised around issues around I think it's 8,000 naira for 6 months to about 12 million, households, or 12 million, household, I think it was. But when you look at that 12 million and you look at the numbers from international organizations saying 120 million Nigerians living on a poverty line, some figures are higher, some figures are lesser. But 12 million out of that number, what's your thoughts on that? Have we cast that national safety net wide enough?
To be honest, like I said, I signed earlier. I don't know. I don't want to second guess Mr. President's team. But to be honest, as a concerned citizen, the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics mentioned, in collaboration with United Nations, mentioned over 133 billion. 133 million Nigerians living, in multidimensionally poor. The underlying word that is multidimensional. As a last quarter of this year, by another number will definitely have increased. Now, looking at 12 million, first of all, what came to my mind is what are the hows? How are you going to actually, first of all, deploy this money? A friend was saying everybody has a bank account. I say, hello, these are people that mostly may not even be part of the banking system. These are people that are within the informal sector. Even if they had businesses, maybe the businesses have crashed. Some of them are jobless. We have over about 44% unemployment rate. So how do you start that? How do you spread it, to be equitable, to be fair? Mr. President took a country in a highly polarized situation. That balance, providing that balance with regards to the spread is an important thing. But then how do you do that with 12 million Nigerians? Where do you really start from? How do you identify them? How do you reach out to them? For those that are living far away, beyond in remote areas that are in dire need of help in the first instance and in the subsequent instance? And how do you provide the transparent accountability framework for Nigerians to see that this is done in a way and manner that is a departure from the past? Remember the Shopee project during President Muhammad Buhari's time, and we saw the issues, the who and car around it. To my mind, these 12 million, to be honest, is too small. I don't know how that will be managed by Mr. President, but I am, as you can see, lost of words to address this conversation with regards to very, very, very insignificant number of people that will get this intervention. And like the big question mark is how, who are they, where will they be, and how can you access them? So it's an issue.
So I think I will just join and echo your earlier statement where you said we await the execution. Thank you so much for talking to us, policy analyst Baba Yusuf.
Always a pleasure. Thank you for having me.